Hi, I'm Terry. My story is, well, it's just ridiculous. But at the same time, it's also very sad. It's just that my sweetheart turned out to be some kind of monomaniac. Well, you know, someone with a day fix. I'm almost all grown up and in my last year of high school. I know which university I will go to next year, and I think a lot about my future. It seems that there is nothing out of the ordinary about my life, doesn't it? Well, there is one thing. It has been almost a year since my boyfriend and I got engaged. His name is Michael, and we have been together for 5 years already. And his proposal, it was so magical. He did it last year at the spring homecoming dance, where we were both nominated for the titles of King and Queen of the school, which we could have kept for the whole next year. Neither Michael nor me got the crown, but after the ceremony, he took the mic from the host, got down on one knee, and asked for my hand in front of the whole school audience. Michael said wonderful things about me and gave me a beautiful ring. Well, now all the girls understand me. I couldn't say no, and our engagement became the main event of the ball. I think the queen ate her crown out of envy that same night. When I came home, I learned that my engagement was a surprise only to me. It turned out that my parents knew about it already. Michael had discussed it with them, and they had known him as my boyfriend for several years. They knew that he was a good guy with good intentions, so they did not object. The only thing they asked was to postpone our marriage until after our graduation from school, and that we get married during the summer vacation before we left for college. Michael's parents seemed to have nothing against it either. They liked me, and they had already accepted Dear Terry into their big family. Did I say big? Oh, Michael's family was enormous. He was the second oldest among his 10 siblings. You heard me right. My boyfriend's parents have 11 children. The life in their huge house was pretty noisy and chaotic, but at the same time, happy and friendly. I don't have brothers or sisters. I live alone with my parents, so I very much enjoyed visiting Michael's house. Even though after some of these visits, I'd sometimes return home with a crazy headache from all the noise. So, while I was ready to marry Michael, I didn't pay a huge amount of attention to it. I was much more preoccupied with my choice of career. My parents had done pretty well in their lives, and I didn't want to disappoint them. As for Michael, he started to discuss our future family life. It got longer, and he went into more and more detail as we got closer to our graduation. I have to admit that I only smiled when hearing of all of his future plans. Michael loved his big family, and there was nothing wrong with thinking about creating his own. I didn't see anything bad in it until one certain moment. One day, it was a national holiday, and Michael and I went shopping together. He wanted to buy me a beautiful dress, and he was even ready to help me choose one. Well, haven't I told you before that he was wonderful? So that day was full of magic. Before Michael showed me a dress, saying that he liked it because it would make me look like his mom. I like Michael's mother. She is wonderful. She is very kind, nice, and a very special person. And she treats me well. But what was this nonsense? Other than that, I didn't feel anything in common between me and this woman, who is always surrounded by kids and who I always saw as either pregnant or holding a baby. I imagined myself in her shoes, and I felt terrified. So I was furious, and I told Michael that I did not want to hear that I looked like somebody else. I didn't tell him exactly what made me feel so uncomfortable. In fact, I haven't talked to Michael for 3 days. It seemed that after that, Michael gave up on the subject of family and kids before he let it slip about the project he was working on together with his father in their garage. I was curious and jokingly teased Michael until he told me what they were doing in there. He was making a cradle for our future child so that it would be ready for the moment when we moved into our future house together after our marriage. This time, I got really angry. But my boyfriend just brushed me off. He told me that it was his hobby and the cradle would be waiting in the basement for the time we needed it. I had nothing to say. One day we might need it, but definitely not now. I was extremely angry and even a little depressed. Time passed. Our graduation celebration was getting closer, and Michael continued to talk more and more about our wedding and living together, but totally not in a way that I had imagined my life playing out. You see, I wanted to get a good education, to find a good job, which I will value and like. I want to build a career. I want to travel around the world. I want to live an active and interesting life. And this plan has no room for childbirth at the age of 18. And that's why finding this out soon became the straw that broke the camel's back, also known as the moment my patience ran out. Frankly, I don't even know how to talk about this next part, so I'll just give it to you straight. I accidentally saw a strange chart on Michael's laptop. It contained some numbers and a graph put over a calendar of dates. First, I thought it was something he needed for his exams, but then I took a closer look. Oh my gosh, it was the diary of my period. It turned out that Michael's mother decided to teach him how to count the best days for ovulation. Basically, the best days to try to get me pregnant. And this moron started to train himself to count the good days right away. My patience snapped like a tightened string. I'm a human being, not an incubator, and I will not tolerate this type of pressure. I will have kids eventually, but only when I decide that I want them. I talked to my parents and I dumped Michael. Honestly, I still feel sad when telling this story. I still love Michael, and it hurts to realize that everything turned out this way. He's still trying to get me back, to convince me that he did not push me when it came to having children, and that we would have them when we both wanted. But I don't believe him anymore. Our plans for the future are just too different. So I just sped up the inevitable and painful result of our differences. So, this is my story. Maybe you would also like to tell how you had to leave someone you loved. Share your stories, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel.